is it better to have in-house training or go to the people's homes and train? Because see, we
The
live on the
boarding
Oregon
thing.
coast, and it's a very small little town, and Portland and Salem and everything is a ways away. So I was just wondering if going to their home and training is far better than bringing them here.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I would tell you based off, the conversation that I've had, and just really depends on you and your availability and what you can do. And in an ideal world, you would want them to come to you just because, like if you have like, for example, if you have a facility, they can just go to you. You don't have to go to to people's houses like in the consultations. I know Josh Avila, one of the things that he does is he goes to people's houses, does he calls it the free transformation sessions and he does that at their place. Now, by him doing that in his going to people's houses, though, he is, for example, spending time going over there versus someone who owns a facility that they can just go to, their place. So, for example, for you, Roxanne, how does your situation look?
Well, we're building a huge compound with indoor outdoor runs and a big play area in the center. Or and then we've got a track that goes around the whole. I own two houses. We have a track that goes all the way around, so that we can train them on the property without taking them on the road, so that we know what they're doing before we get out on the pathways. Because here they've got a lot of pathways and that, but a lot of people use them. So I want to be able to
Hmm.
trust the dog first and know that it knows what it's supposed to do before. But I was also
Gotcha, gotcha.
thinking we have a lot of weekend locals, you know, like training for the weekend.
Yeah, I would say that it's mostly just based on, on your availability on what you can do and it makes sense to you, right? Just because, for example, if you're
Mhm.
going to be driving 2, 3 hours for just a day, you're missing out on a lot of potential clients by, staying a little bit more local, if that makes sense.
I was also having a conversation with somebody about this actually on school. Um, and I that was my thing too. I just basically said, I feel like it's what works for you. Um, because this person said that they were like losing out on a lot of money going to those people, and then they end up not being there or whatever. But you mentioned a board and train. Well, that's what I
Mhm.
call, you call it in-home
Yeah.
training, but essentially a board and train. And sorry, my cat is all over me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just feel myself personally, I try to push people for privates, because yes, baby, because when you break down how much time you spend on the board and trains between feeding them and taking them out and training them and just trying to make sure that they have a quality life while they're with you, then you get paid way less on the board and trains, in my opinion. So I will push those privates as much as I can, just because, when you break it down to an hourly basis, I make way more money on the hourly classes versus the board and train.
For me, with the in-home, obviously a lot of it depends on the issues. I mean, if it's like territorial or resource guarding, or depending if it's an issue that's being caused at the house, obviously you're gonna probably have to travel there. And then just charge more. I mean, obviously for in-home lessons, I charge more for traveling time, um, to make up for the traveling time. So not too much more, but a few hundred extra dollars for a 5 week program, like be 650 for here, and if I travel to them, 850. So, and definitely charge a little more
Okay.
for that travel fee.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
so like for me personally, I hate private lessons. And it's just a personal thing because it's difficult sometimes to explain things to people, like the method I'm using and the variables and the adjustment and everything. I would rather just have the dog here and let me do my work, get them to a level that's easy to transition to the person and, I mean, charge accordingly. But yeah, if you have the facilities to keep a bunch of dogs and do volume, then you do that. But I mean, how much time are you spending on a board and train dog versus a private lesson dog? I can do with a board and train dog in 5 minutes what I would do with a training with a full private lesson. So efficiency and effectiveness wise, board and train for me is the easiest way to go.
Well, at the end of your board and train, do you have the people come in and you train them too, or?
Yeah, so we have 2 lessons after the board and train. We have the transfer of authority lesson where we show them what the dog knows and then we coach them for like an hour and a half or so. And then a follow-up lesson after that. In about 2 to 4 weeks, we try to get them back in here just to make sure that they're not creating any bad habits and set them up for success. So yeah, there's like call it 4 hours of lessons involved. But I don't, it depends on how much you charge too, right? So like if I didn't have a facility and I was doing it in the home, there's no way I would do it for less than $5,000. Not a chance. Just because it's a lot more hands-on and everything. But if you have a facility, I can charge $3,000, $4,000 and that 4 hours of coaching the people doesn't really take anything out of my pocket. The most that having them in the facility costs me is my kennel hands to clean the kennels. That's really the most. But I also live on site too. Like I don't have to go anywhere. So, it's efficient for me. I come out here and do the dogs and doesn't cost me anything.
Thank you. That was
Awesome.
very informative. Thank you very much.